In a world where combat sports reign supreme, there are few names that evoke as much fear and respect as Khabib Nurmagomedov and Mick Foley. Imagine, for a moment, the unthinkable: two of the fiercest warriors in their respective worlds, one an undefeated mixed martial arts champion, the other a hardcore wrestling legend facing off in a battle that defies all logic. Khabib, with his iron grip on the UFC, known for dismantling opponents with precision and calmness, versus Mick, a man who has been through hell and back in the squared circle, embracing pain like no one else. This isn't just a fight. It's a collision of two different worlds, two different philosophies, two men who stand as titans in their own domains. But what happens when these two giants, whose careers are defined by their unyielding spirits and ruthless tactics, are forced to face each other? Khabib, a man of unparalleled discipline, has carved a path through MMA history that few dare to dream of. His reign as lightweight champion, unbeaten and unbroken, has made him a living legend in the sport. His ability to control the tempo of a fight, to take his opponents down and grind them out, is a spectacle that has captivated millions. But Khabib's legacy isn't just about victory. It's about his unshakable belief in discipline and honor, values that he holds above all else. The Russian powerhouse's style is rooted in technique, respect, and a relentless pursuit of greatness. For him, every fight is a test of his mental and physical fortitude. On the other side stands Mick Foley, a man whose name is synonymous with extreme wrestling. Mick's body has become a canvas of scars and memories, each one telling the tale of a man who gave everything for the entertainment of millions. From Hell in a Cell matches to iconic moments where he willingly threw himself into danger, Mick Foley is more than just a wrestler. He is a symbol of endurance and resilience. His style is chaotic, unpredictable, and brutal, everything that Khabib is not. Yet somehow, the two worlds collide in a strange and unexpected way. What happens when Khabib, the controlled, disciplined grappler, faces off against a man whose whole career is defined by chaos and sacrifice? As the tension builds and the two men prepare for an encounter that will surely go down in history, the question arises: how can Khabib's calm, calculated nature hold up against Foley's brutal and unrelenting aggression? Khabib, who has faced some of the best fighters in the world, seems invincible. But Mick's sheer willpower, the resilience that has kept him going through all his wars in the ring, is something Khabib has never encountered. The strategy behind Khabib's every move may be the answer, but Mick's unpredictability might just be the one thing Khabib can't control. As the date draws closer, fans are left in suspense. Who will emerge victorious in this strange yet captivating clash of combat? Can Khabib maintain his aura of invincibility against a man who has literally sacrificed his body for entertainment? Will Mick Foley, with his unparalleled ability to endure pain and chaos, find a way to break the Russian's perfect streak? This fight is shaping up to be more than just a clash of styles. It's a battle of philosophies, a test of what it truly means to be great in your own domain. And as the fight nears, the anticipation reaches its peak. Will Khabib's methodical precision be enough to topple a man who thrives on madness? Or will Mick Foley's unpredictable nature shatter the undefeated champion's legacy once and for all? The answer lies just beyond the horizon. What will happen when these two forces collide? The moment arrives, and the energy in the air is unlike anything seen before. Fans from both worlds, MMA purists and wrestling fanatics, watch with a mix of excitement and disbelief as Khabib Nurmagomedov and Mick Foley stand face to face. The contrast is striking. Khabib, calm and composed, his hands wrapped tightly, his focus unshaken. Mick, a walking testament to pain, his expression unreadable, his mind wired differently than any opponent Khabib has ever encountered. The expectation is clear. Khabib, the master of control, will take Mick down, impose his will, and neutralize any chaos before it begins. But then, something happens that no one, least of all Khabib, sees coming. The moment the fight begins, Khabib moves in with his signature precision, closing the distance, ready to drag Foley into his world. But before he can execute his first move, Mick does something unexpected. He doesn't defend. He doesn't step back. He leans in, arms spread, almost inviting punishment. A smile creeps onto his battered face, and he utters something under his breath that only Khabib can hear. It's not a taunt. It's something far more unsettling. Khabib hesitates, just for a fraction of a second, but in the fight game, that's all it takes. Mick lashes out, not with calculated technique, but with raw, unhinged aggression that doesn't follow any pattern Khabib can recognize. A hard forearm connects, and for the first time in his career, Khabib feels something foreign: uncertainty. Foley doesn't fight like an athlete. He fights like a man who has been through the worst and welcomes more. Khabib shakes off the momentary disruption and shoots in for a takedown. He gets it. Mick is on the ground. But here's the problem. Mick Foley doesn't care. He laughs, a deep, unsettling sound, and instead of resisting, he leans into the punishment. Every elbow Khabib lands, every wrist lock he tightens, Mick absorbs with something terrifying: acceptance. The normal reaction in a fight is to defend, to escape, to fight back with skill. But Mick doesn't fight back the way Khabib expects. He turns the pain into something else. Something that starts to mess with Khabib's usual sense of control. The fight isn't going how anyone predicted. Khabib is doing what he always does, dictating the pace, dominating the ground, but for the first time, it doesn't feel like dominance. It feels like something else. Mick isn't looking for a way out. He isn't trying to escape. He's adapting in a way that no one, not even Khabib, saw coming. The more Khabib tightens his grip, the more Foley seems to thrive, his unpredictability throwing cracks into the perfect machine that Khabib has built over years of discipline. This isn't just about fighting anymore. It's about something deeper, a test of endurance, not just physically, but mentally. Then, without warning, Mick does the unimaginable. With Khabib pressing down from top control, Foley reaches into his waistband, and the crowd gasps. In his hand is a sock. Not just any sock, Mr. Socko. A joke to some, a deadly weapon in the hands of Mick Foley. The submission hold that has made legends tap out is suddenly in play against the most dominant grappler in MMA history. Khabib reacts instantly, shifting his weight to prevent any grip, but Mick moves like a man possessed. He isn't playing by the rules of technique. He's playing by the rules of madness. The crowd erupts as Foley locks the mandible claw deep into Khabib's jaw, his fingers pressing against the nerve endings, forcing a reaction that no amount of grappling experience can counteract. Khabib's eyes widen. This isn't a chokehold. It's something completely different. It doesn't matter how well conditioned he is. This is pain on a different level, something he's never trained for. For the first time, Khabib is fighting not just a man, but the sheer unpredictability of someone who has built a career on surviving the impossible. The stakes have changed. What was supposed to be a battle of skill and endurance has turned into something entirely different. Khabib is struggling in ways no one ever expected. Mick Foley, the man who has fallen from steel cages, been slammed onto thumbtacks, and smiled through the worst beatings in wrestling history, is pushing Khabib into territory he's never navigated before. And just when it seems like this fight couldn't take another unexpected turn, something even more shocking happens. Mick Foley doesn't just want to survive. He wants to make Khabib question everything he thought he knew. And for the first time in his career, the undefeated champion is forced to dig deeper than he ever has before. But will it be enough? Khabib clenches his jaw, his mind racing as the pain shoots through his face. He's endured wars in the cage before, but nothing like this. The mandible claw isn't a submission he trained to defend. His body, conditioned to resist chokes and joint locks, has no blueprint for handling this kind of pressure. Foley's fingers dig deep, and for the first time in his career, Khabib feels his body betraying him, his muscles tensing in ways he can't control. The crowd is on its feet, divided between shock and excitement. The undefeated MMA icon, the man who has dominated every opponent with ruthless efficiency, is locked in a move so absurd yet undeniably effective that no one knows what will happen next. A flicker of doubt crosses Khabib's mind. If he taps, the legacy he built, the years of sacrifice, the discipline, the undefeated streak will all come crashing down. But if he doesn't, if he lets this madness continue, will he be able to fight his way out before his body gives up on him? His instincts kick in. With sheer willpower, he digs his fingers into Foley's wrist, prying against the grip as his other hand slams a powerful elbow into Mick's ribs. The force is brutal, enough to make any other man recoil, but Foley doesn't let go. He groans, absorbing the hit like he's done 1,000 times before, and tightens his grip. Khabib's vision blurs for a split second. His body, trained for combat, knows what's coming. His knees buckle slightly, his breath shortens. If he doesn't act now, it might be too late. Then, like a switch flipping, Khabib roars to life. He plants his feet, shifts his weight, and in a display of sheer power, lifts Foley off the ground. The crowd erupts as Khabib, still half trapped in the mandible claw, slams Foley onto the mat with a thunderous force that shakes the arena. The impact is brutal, sending shockwaves through Mick's body. His grip weakens for the first time, his fingers slipping just enough for Khabib to break free. Gasping for air, Khabib stumbles back, his jaw aching, his face flushed. Foley lies on the canvas, coughing, the wind knocked out of him, yet still moving, still laughing through the pain. But Khabib has seen enough. He knows he can't let Foley drag him into this kind of fight again. No more chaos. No more surprises. He needs to end this now. He dives forward, taking Foley down with the precision that has made him a legend. This time, there's no hesitation, no wasted movement. He traps an arm, locks his legs, and in one fluid motion, he secures the triangle choke. The very submission that ended Conor McGregor's night is now tightening around Foley's throat. The laughter stops. The movement slows. Mick's face turns red as Khabib squeezes with everything he has left. The crowd watches, knowing that this might be the end. And then, just when it seems like Foley has no choice but to submit, he does something that no one could have expected. With his free hand, instead of tapping, he reaches up not to escape, not to fight back, but to pat Khabib on the shoulder. A simple, almost fatherly gesture, as if to say, "You've won this battle, but the war was never about victory." And with that, his body goes limp. The referee rushes in, checking Foley's arm. It drops once. Twice. 3 times. It's over. Khabib releases the hold, falling back onto the mat, his chest rising and falling with deep, exhausted breaths. He has won. But as he looks at Foley, now coming to, something inside him shifts. This wasn't the kind of fight he had trained for, nor was it the battle he expected. Yet, in a strange way, it was one of the toughest tests he's ever faced. Mick Foley, the man who built his legacy on enduring pain, had just forced the undefeated champion into the deepest waters he had ever been in. As Foley sits up, rubbing his neck, he looks over at Khabib with something unusual in his eyes, not defeat, but pride. He grins through the pain, giving Khabib a slow nod before rolling out of the ring. He doesn't need a victory to prove his worth. The fact that he stood toe-to-toe with one of the most dominant fighters in history and made him question everything, that was enough. The fight is over, but the story it tells will live on. Khabib, still sitting on the mat, watches Foley disappear into the crowd, the echoes of applause following him. He realizes that tonight wasn't just another win, it was something more. A reminder that fights aren't always about who is stronger or faster, but about who is willing to push past the limits of what is possible. And in that sense, perhaps neither man truly lost.